Now, the last few episodes of the Just Create SMP that I have put out have involved this entire minigame area, and it has been quite the journey, but I think today is the day where we start to branch off and work on a new project. And there's been a project that I have been putting off for quite a while, and that is a storage solution. Yes, I know I'm late to the game. And so, yes, I am going to be setting out and building a mega storage solution. But before we do that, I do want to show you some point of views of, well, throw lash and eggs, taking part in Starchery.
I'm not good at this, so... Oh.
Yes,
Hey,
it's
all right,
so
you're doing
good.
great so far.
And the scores are listed, like that the each box gives, are listed on top of each carriage, each stall.
Oh, so these two over here do 4 and 5. Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, 4 and
Okay.
5 points. But they also
Gotcha.
pop out slower than everything else.
Right, so you can't just sit over there and farm them.
You
Got it.
can, but it's also a lot farther away, and you'll miss a whole lot more. And their
Sure,
delays
Yeah, I've
going up and
noticed.
down, are a little bit longer. I mean, it's not a
You're
perfect
at
science.
27 already?
Yeah, it's not a perfect science, but man, it's so satisfying when you hit the 32 and you hear the music that plays.
Hey, man.
You're doing great, dude.
Yeah, you got 5
I'm not
seconds.
looking at the score.
Oh, that was a big money one. And oh,
Nice
you
job.
got it. You got it. Right there at the end.
32. Nice job. Are you guys ready for the worst run ever? You guys ready?
You got this.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Bum, bum, bum. All right, let's go. Box number 1. Where are you? Up there. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're doing well here. Boom.
Isn't the
Wow,
aiming
that's-
so
Wow,
bad?
those are super far away.
Isn't the
Holy
aiming
moly.
figured
so
out-
bad?
That standing here and just aiming for the 4, 5, and 3,
Right?
Oh yeah.
even though they're further,
Bump.
I think it's
Bam.
more rewarding.
Wow. Potato
'Cause you
cannon
don't have
is,
to move
is
that
hard to
much.
aim.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's annoying.
It's really bad that it doesn't like go where the reticle's at.
For sure. Goodness.
It has like a. There's this one. I don't play a lot of first-person shooters,
Mhm.
but in every first-person shooter game, there's this one gun that just sprays all over the place.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what the potato cannon is.
Oh, I thought I got that 3. No. There we go.
There you go.
Oh, that's it.
That's it? Ooh,
Yeah.
21. Oh, I didn't even beat
That's not
Foxy.
too bad,
Oh,
though.
no.
That's not too bad though.
I tell you what, they seem to have really liked this game, and there's going to be a lot more stuff to be done with the mini games in the future. Some possible charity streams and things like that are on the docket list to be done with these areas, and I'm looking forward to it. We're probably also going to have like a game night too, where we're all going to be like streaming and stuff and playing around in these different games, so I can't wait to see that. But for now, I think I can call it wraps on this area. This is pretty nice. I thought about putting music in here, but after playing around with it on the stream, it kind of changed my mind after hearing it play over and over and over again. And I was like, yeah, this will get annoying very quick. So for right now, no other noises. Let's just leave it be. If people want to play their own spooky noises, that would fit in here really, really well. But back to the do list for today. But now back to the topic of storage. Yes, I've got an idea. I kind of want to build this sort of industrial yard looking area that is going to contain all of our storage vaults. It's going to allow me to essentially request and send items to these storage vaults. Think of a vibe like this, but more or less like a rather industrious version of this, even more than this. And the goal is to have many vaults, and since I do produce quite a lot of vaults, I should be able to carry out this mission no problem. Oh, and you know what? Since I'm over here, I am going to need a lot more cardboard. That's the one thing I actually haven't automated because I've just been wanting to buy it off of eggs over here. So I'm going to buy several sheets of cardboard so I can make plenty of the packagers that we're going to need for today. But now seeing all of this, oh man, it's looking so good in the market area. This is fantastic. I believe Stam did a lot of decoration. You can see all of the trees. But yes, my back area of my buildings are looking a little bit bland, and I'm probably going to also spruce those up a little bit today. Still not sure why my area got completely untouched, I mean, it could have placed some grass there at least. If anything, I can throw in some cardboard boxes. I mean, that's going to make it look a little bit nicer. Just some random boxes here and there. Yeah, I'll definitely come back to this later. I've got storage things to do. Now, where exactly am I going to set up this storage? That's a pretty important part of this whole setup here. I want a place that I have a lot of room and a lot of flat area. And well, there just happens to be an area I've cleared out that works perfectly for this. And there's a sidewalk and everything already ready to go. And that is right next to the foundry. I have a huge area that's just right over here that even wraps around and is going to give me plenty of space to set this up. And yes, I do want to take advantage of just about all of this area. And I know you guys have been wondering, Chosen, where's your mega build? This whole area is my mega build. It really is. And I mean, what goes good in a mega build? A mega storage. Honestly though, as if the foundry isn't mega enough. Oh my gosh. So now all of this grass is going to need to be replaced with a mixture of this, which we're going to have coarse dirt, packed mud, and also rooted dirt mixed in here, and also gravel. But the gravel is going to take a little bit more patience because anywhere that I add gravel, I have to account for the fact that I just covered this whole area to make it flat. So yeah, there's a lot of space under here. So I think this is the perfect time to roll that funky time lapse. After that beautiful time lapse, I'm back over here collecting all of the item vaults needed. And yes, I upped it in my mall. So we now keep about 18 stacks in stock, give or take. But it does take a lot of wood to do this. So I think I have enough vaults. Maybe I still might need more. After getting back, this is what we completed. I mean, this place is massive. It was a lot of land to place. Thankfully, I got about half of it placed in by hand. And then as you've seen from the time lapse, the schematic cannon definitely helped out. I was able to copy a section, much like we did for the factory floor here, copy a section that I did by hand. And then I was able to paste that in, making the schematic cannon such a beautiful tool for stuff like this. Now, just to understand the size of this is such a large area. I am trying to get around this path that I made on the outer side so that way we have a full path around. This leads all the way back this way, but just look how long it takes for me to get here. This is like 4 or 5 worth of these foundry buildings, like in space. It's so much. And so now you may be wondering, Chosen, do you need this much space for a storage? No, but I'm gonna. But before we actually start placing things in randomly, we should probably come up with a design that is modular and allows us to expand as needed. That is going to be, I think, the biggest part of today's video. So now let's imagine for a second we have multiple vaults like this, and I know everybody on the server has done it in a very different way. For example, Beardstone, I think, has them going along a line, and if a vault gets full, then it will just move on to the next vault and so on and so forth until it goes through all of the vault modules. And then I think Foxy is also using something kind of similar, everybody using packages to send the items from vault to vault. I think Foxy definitely maximizing the package system. And then from what I've seen with Stam is also doing a very similar thing with packages and also making sure these flow from one to another. But Stam also did something incredibly powerful and smart, I think. And he's using the ability to turn a contraption into a pipe, allowing you to have like an interface on one side, interface on the other, turn the whole thing into a contraption, making it an instant transfer from one location to another because of that. And see, that's where things like this become a problem, because I can request something and it can take a tremendous amount of time for the items to get back to me. If, well, I don't have a system like that. I still, though, don't know if I want to do a system like that, even though that would be very powerful. So again, to kind of show you the chaining solution here, I mean, essentially, you would have items that get put into this barrel, right? And then it gets sent on this belt, and then this vault will fill up. Well, if this vault fills up, this can no longer pull items in, and then it'll just keep leading on into the next vault. This is a pretty interesting solution, but if a vault ends up completely backing up and your entire system fills up, well, then what do? I mean, I don't think I'm going to ever run into that problem, so this might honestly be the simplest of solutions, just simply filling a vault and continue it down a chain. And what we could do is, if we do happen to fill something up, we can set up an alarm system. I mean, that would be very, very easy to do. I don't think I'll ever fill up the amount of vaults I'm going to have here. But yes, you could have an alarm system that detects when an item enters a barrel. And when that item enters the barrel, you would have it like constantly ding a bell, for example, send a bell a redstone signal. And that'd be a pretty good way of notifying you, hey, your vault system's filled up and you are going to have an issue if you don't, fix this. But now what about frog ports? Like, we could technically use a frog port system to send into our storages, but there's actually another problem with frog ports, unfortunately. Frog ports have this really nasty ability to still consume a package even if the inventory it's trying to send into is full, meaning that you'll end up with packages built up inside of your frog ports whenever this thing is filled, meaning it won't move on to the next one. Now, there are some ways around this, but it is very janky, and definitely janky compared to this system right here. Now, I think though where frog ports really shine is the request system. For getting items out of here, I think frog ports are still going to be one of the fastest methods, because it allows us to sort through all of our inventories and request and be able to visualize and see everything in our bulk storage. So I still think though frog ports are going to be the way to go for at least pulling the items back to the system. Now I also got to think about how I'm going to offload packages. Let's say I have a bunch of items and I want to be able to get it out of a container quickly. Well, the best way to probably do that is going to be packages. But do we want to really handle packages with these things? I don't think so, because if I was to send packages and have items depackaged with a packager basically into the item vault, if there is no more room, a package can still go inside the packager, meaning that we'll end up with potential items just not being stored and accessible because a vault filled up. And this could be kind of a problem. This is a problem I'm trying to avoid. So we might end up with a larger unit that essentially breaks it down so it funnels onto a belt. And that way we can bulk send items into a larger vault. And then that vault is the vault that technically sends out all the items everywhere else. I think that could be a good solution to allowing mass items to flow out of the system, and that way it slowly trickles into all of the other vaults. So now that I know this is kind of the entrance area that I want to make sort of like my requester home system. And I kind of want it almost perfectly in line with this garage door, and I kind of want it centered as much as possible in this area. This is going to be like the foundation of the center, I guess you can call it storage yard, junkyard, something like that. So now I've started to define my area here, and I think this is going to be the main deposit container. So what we'll have here is a bunch of packagers. That way we could place like a vault on top if we wanted to empty an entire vault, for example, or anything like that, that would allow it to pick up all of those items, package it up into packages, and then send it immediately via frog ports. I think that would be another fantastic way of doing this. But it is going to take a lot to get it to such a vault like this that allows it to be sent on. But it is going to be pretty interesting watching all these items flow once we actually get this started. But speaking of getting things started, this is going to require a lot more vaults than I originally thought. And I've started to plan out the grid. It's probably going to change a little bit as I continue on here. But this is the idea, right? I get all of these vaults placed in all along this line, and then we'll have a belt that runs through the front. I really wish I could run a belt underneath, but the way that I'm planning on setting this up, it just really wouldn't function that way. Well, without having a lot of redstone checks, and the more of the threshold switches we add to item vaults, the more lag overall on the server we're going to experience, because that threshold switch has to check the contents of these vaults. And I would prefer to not do that if at all possible. And belts, I mean, honestly, they're not too bad. Maybe bad for frame rate, but they're not super bad for the server. Oh, and by the way, all you've seen so far are this section of vaults. But yeah, I do plan on having a few more vaults that lead out this way. Tell you what, I've got to give a huge shout out to the mall, because without the mall, I would never have had this many vaults to be able to do such a thing. It requires so much crafting to make this. I mean, barrels, in my opinion, are very painful to craft by hand, because you just simply run out of inventory space to be able to keep up with all of the slabs that you need and all of the regular planks. And so it just becomes kind of this hassle of balancing your grid that you get, these 27 slots, give or take, plus this row. I mean, it is a lot to craft. And then Each of these vaults then on top of that require the sheets that need to go on top of the barrel. So yes, just to craft like a stack of them really requires quite a lot. And mostly just time and like management. That's the thing. You have to like manage all of the items in your inventory. And so because of the mall, this is absolutely possible. Just keeping them in stock. I actually buffed the stock up to 27, so you can basically have a entire shulker box full to be able to do this. And I'm sure everyone else who's been buying these will thank me later. Now I'm starting to get the chain infrastructure in, and I've tapped into the foundry's power for this. We can now start to kind of get the belts up and running somewhat. It is going to be a little bit confusing for the belts, but I want to keep things close to here. So if this belt, for example, fills up, and let's say we fill this whole chain all the way down here, well, then I don't really want it wrapping all the way this way, because then all those exterior vaults out there are so far away, and I'd prefer to keep it sort of closer. So once like this chain line sort of fills up, then we need to divert and make sure items get sent this direction. But how do I do that? Well, I could branch the items back over, and that's definitely a thing that I could potentially do. Or we could send them onto the chain line that we're ultimately going to have. We could package them up and then have the packaged items essentially get routed back over here and unpackaged and then sent down this belt line. That is a very... that would actually save us so much on belts. Now, speaking of belts, I'm trying my best to route my belts in the most optimal way. So this is a set of 5, and then this is the middle container. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have a shaft that continues, so that way we can split the belt up, and we can use chain drives in the back underneath the vault to keep them nice and concealed, and allow us to carry that belt direction all the way out this way. Now I've started getting all of the chain conveyors in, and we have it kind of lined out. Now there is a little bit of a off-centeredness just based on how this whole thing functions and the amount of space that I have. It's not perfectly odd in numbers, but I think when it's at this scale, you really don't see it. But most of this is set up on evens. I'm completely out of vaults as of right now, so I don't have enough to finish out this section, but that's fine. This is going to be filled in later. As of right now, though, I need to figure out and start working on getting the item sorting situation going. So all of these are going to be, I mean, it's pretty straightforward for the most part. I mean, we just need to have a brass funnel that is sending items out. We might use that little trick, I think it still exists, that allows you to speed up the transfer of items onto the belts. And then we just need this system to pull the items in. I mean, that's very, very simple as well, right? All of these are just simply going to pull the items in. Nothing fancy here. Continue on slowly but surely getting all of this going in. The belt's going to be running this direction and so on and so forth until we get to this final vault. This vault is going to be a little bit different, because when this vault fills up, this is actually what's going to send items back out onto the chain. And this is going to be a transfer vault. I actually might make it smaller just to simply transfer any items that have passed these vaults. And this vault is like completely filled. It'll pass into here, go into this vault, and then a packager is going to pull the contents out in a big package and is going to package it up and send it onto the chain. And then what that is going to do to keep our storage close by is it then is going to send it into this receiving vault, or I may add another receiving vault over here, and that receiving vault is going to accept those items, and then it's going to allow me to dump them back out, so that way we can start the chain again and continue this way. And with this setup, we can actually continue all the way over here, and then we can belt back around, fill up this section of vaults, and kind of do the same thing. Like if this vault fills up, we package up, and we just send it to the next chain line, which is going to be back here. I know I'm explaining it all, but I should probably put it into action, shouldn't I? So now let's handle the frog ports for this section. Now, this is not accounting for the frog ports that are going to be handling the receiving of items whenever we go to do this. This is just simply getting items from this vault once this line fills up and moving it to another one. So what's going to need to happen here is we are going to need to label this, and we can say like transfer, something like this, and we'll label it like transfer 1, or possibly do transfer _1. That typically works. And then we can actually copy this. So if I give this a redstone signal, it'll pull the package out, automatically label it transfer 1, and now it's looking for a frog port that it can send to that has the name transfer 1. And then we can add another packager. So we'll throw a packager. We need it to go into here. So now this is going to be a receiving frog port. And it looks like I've got to craft a few frog ports because I'm out. That's one thing the mall doesn't actually have in stock. Oh, I definitely had frog ports. They were just in my inventory. I'm a dork. But anyways, yes, we need to label this frog and put it directly on top, connected to a chain to be able to receive this. And this is just a very simple way of just getting the items from one place to another directly. So we'll call this transfer 1, and this is a receiving. So the other one, by the way, we should technically put it into send only, because this frog port should only ever send things. And so just to kind of test this and see if it works, I mean, it should definitely work. The problem is we'll end up with items going directly into this vault, which I don't exactly want. So for right now, I'll actually remove this belt. And whenever we send that item, the package should land here, and then the item should just spit out onto the ground. But let's give this a shot. Let's throw in like a packager, for example. And as soon as that gets tossed in, there it goes. A package then gets created. And then we have the transfer of the items over here, up to 9 stacks at a time, which is quite a lot. And beautiful, look at that. And so this is how this section is going to work. Now I need to repeat this same step for this vault, because once this vault gets filled, which is on the end of this line, I want it to then send this package down the road here, and I want it to start potentially filling up these vaults. And you know what? To save on vaults, we can kind of shrink these vaults down, I think. Now, I think over here, a weighted ejector would be absolutely hilarious. So we can set the position for a weighted ejector, have the items get flung through the air and land over here. Oh, that is going to be perfect. And now for each of these, they're just going to be labeled like transfer 1, transfer 2, transfer 3, and 4, and so on and so forth. So now, even though I don't have all of the vaults in, we can go ahead and still actually set up our entire stock ticker network. So every single one of these vaults that aren't receiving items at the moment, we need to make sure we have a packager on, and all of these are going to need frog ports directly on top of them. And we want to make sure they're connected up to the chain, preferably the chain that is sending to this, and making sure it's all going in that direction so we don't have to worry about it looping around or needing to do anything weird. Now I've almost got all of the frogs lined up in here, ready to go, and I am sort of offsetting these frogs so that way if something was to be requested out of both, it could pop both of them out quickly and just kind of makes things a little bit faster. But yes, I'm making sure the sending line is what these are connected to. That way they flow faster in this direction. For the most part, I've got just about everything hooked up. I'm still waiting on vaults to be crafted so I can finish out the rest of the vaults here. But at the moment, I'm getting my delivery system set up because this is what I'm going to need before I get all of the stock tickers linked up. I need a way to put items into the container, and then I also need a way to pull them out. Well, I've already kind of got that solved because I've been using it quite a while with my portable storage over here. So essentially we pull out of a barrel and then that sends into the vault with this setup right here. But the other side is a little bit different. It requests items and the items get pulled from the vault and sent into this barrel. It doesn't exactly work 100% with this because I need a system that can pull items in, but I also need a system that can send items back into the storage system. And of course, we're going to have two separate ways. You can send items back in the storage system from these two sides, which I have to set up here in a second. But I also wanted a simple area where I could do the same thing here. So this will be the area where all of my items get received, and those are going to be sent from this item vault. They're going to be received into this side. And then on the other side, completely separate, this will send items out and are going to send items back into this network here. Well, I mean, technically, they're going to send to this area right here via this specific frog port, which is actually going to go right here. And believe it or not, we are probably going to use another system down on the bottom to constantly send this with materials. But yes, for right now, this will get hooked in. I can connect that perfectly right there. And we do need to define this, so we can just call this main in underscore in. And that way over here, we can have another frog port that is connected inside of here to one of these packagers, for example. Like, let's say we have a packager right here. We can have a frog port set up and then have it labeled and give it a redstone signal. And we call this one, if I put the sign on here, main in, actually under lowercase, main underscore in, just like this, right? Give it a redstone signal. We can use anything really, but yes, we want the frog to be connected on the sending chain. And yeah, we just slap that thing down just like that. Then of course, make sure to give it a redstone signal so it will constantly send. So that's almost everything that we need, because we also need to make sure to turn this on. So let's say we put the item in the barrel. Well, it needs to pull it into the vault. So it will need a lever up here also. And that should take the package and send it directly into this to kind of jumpstart this whole setup. And I think I have an item that I can test this on. Let's just test it on a piece of andesite. I'm gonna throw that package in. A package then gets recreated, accepted, sent, and the package should have turned into an item, and we should have one andesite alloy right here. It happened so fast. I didn't even see it. I didn't even see it work. Now here's where I really need to test a theory. If I want items to go into this system that's being requested from the stock ticker, I don't want to have to put a label on every single one of these and make sure it's labeled and defined to be able to be picked up. At least I don't think so. So I think on all of these that are sending packages, we want to make sure they're set to send only, so these frogs don't actually consume anything. Like specifically these, right? This is actually a receive package, but anyone that's labeled isn't going to pick up a normal non-labeled package. It should, the only thing that should be picked up is the ones that are not specifically labeled, and the only place it should be able to go is going to be the frog port that we have here. Like I said, I just got to go through here and just make sure the packages that are specifically sending, or making sure that all of these that do send are set to send. And I think including the ones that are going to be sending. So in my case, the easiest way to understand that, the labeled frog should be send and receive, because if the frog is labeled, it's receiving. So send and receive. But this one over here needs to be send only, and then all of these that are going to send our packages out to the main, they need to be send only as well. So right now I'm trying to figure out how am I going to handle the mass item input, and I think I figured it out. So I was originally just going to send the items by themselves, but I'm like, maybe I can use packagers here, and then we can provide this with some redstone signals to have it automatically pull items out of a container, which will do 9 stacks per package, by the way. Send those packages on a conveyor belt trip all the way over here, and then have them unpackaged. This should be a really, really fast method of doing this. Now, I am taking all the belt inputs and moving them over slightly. So I'm using brass tunnels, and these are just simply set to round robin mode, just to make sure they pull them out. And then on this side, I have these blocked off with just a random item filter. So all the packages should flow into here and then get redistributed onto these belt lines. And back here, I have fans that are blowing up into the chutes. So that should send the packages up into the chutes, so long as I have, you know, some way to get them in there. And then that should go into the other packagers, which will unpackage this whole setup. So yes, I do have to get over here and make sure to get all these funnels on here. And so this should work as a loader and unloader, and I don't have to worry about items getting onto this, I guess I could say. And we can also drop vaults directly onto this, and it'll just pull out in mass all of the items out of here. I don't know. This should be pretty fast. At least I'm thinking it's going to be fast. I mean, a way that I can test is, let's take this shulker box, for example, and let's put like some cobblestone and some grass in it. And then I pull this out and we'll put it on the far side, so that way the items get distributed. Place it here, and we do need to give this a redstone signal. So for now, I'll just use a lever for this. And we'll just say, hey, this is powered. That pulls the package out, drops it onto the belt, gets sent unpackaged, and then gets sent out. Oh, that's beautiful. Then I don't have to worry about this getting caught up in anything. I can just simply pick it up because this is a packager. It doesn't like suck items in. And then I can use a bunch of levers here, and having them all set up like this kind of gives it an interesting looking design. So I guess now for the fun part, let's go ahead and get access set up so that way we can request everything. And to do this, we just simply need stock links on all of our systems. And then we also need to make sure they are all connected to the same network. And then we can click on here with the stock ticker. And now any new one that we place on here should hopefully work. And I don't think we're going to need any signs or anything fancy like that. It should just work. Like that's the goal anyways. And the ones that we have signs on and our receivers, we do not want these to be connected to. So beautiful. All of them are connected up and ready to go. We just need to place down the stock ticker, which is just going to go right here. And just like all of our other solutions, I'll place a blaze directly here. And we just put a pole in front of the barrel. This is actually where we're going to access our items. But for now, we can now see all of our stuff. And let's hope that this works. It should send the package out. The only place it can go is directly here. The items get pulled out, sent back in. And if the barrel is full, the remaining items will just stay in this vault until we pull all of the stuff out of the barrel. Oh, this is great. I mean, I think for the most part, this is good. We can now start to dump items just like this. That's going to automatically get sent into this setup. Oh, which works perfect. It's already going into our first vault. And then all of those items we can now see and request back out as needed, no matter what vault it goes into. This is magic. Create bulk item storage magic right here. So now, speaking of magic, let's talk about how we can start to fill up some of these vaults. Remember how I had this problem over here? Yes, it's kind of an issue. I am going to need a cart and the ability to pick this thing up. But essentially, to get this moved, all I need to do is add a cart assembler. The whole unit should be already still glued together. Beautiful. Also, I see there's some remaining glue, I think, from our prior train setup. Anyways, so this is ready to go. I am just going to need a lever. All right, let's pick this bad boy up. There we go. And stash it away. Nice. And I have several of these to do, by the way. I just kind of want to see how fast is this. And then because this is on the same level, we can just place the assembler down, the minecart, and then this all starts to happen. It all gets pulled out. Should all be evenly distributed for the most part. And notice this vault is getting completely filled up, which is exactly what we want to see. But there is another thing that we could possibly do to accelerate the sending out of these items. And it is kind of interesting, and I don't know if it's still a thing that's doable, but we can pulse this with some redstone. And I do have a redstone pulse timer. And if I put that on there, does it still work? If this is pulsing every 2 ticks? Oh my goodness, it does. And notice how much faster, by the way, it loads the belt. So yes, this still works and is incredibly easy to do now that we have this easy pulse timer. And look at that. It is just batching these items out so quick. By the way, this vault was basically full and is completely empty now. It just happened so fast. And I think what I'll do for right now is just store them in my storage yard. Like, this is going to be actually a great place to sort of store these minecart contraptions here that I'm not technically using. Yeah, I'll just keep them over here. I also want to test this side, you know, just to make sure everything functions correctly. Looking pretty good. Should be receiving. Looking pretty good. This is the items flowing out of here. This vault is definitely going to fill up very quickly. I just honestly can't believe how quick it just like pulls all of the contents out of a vault like this. So fast. And there we go. This whole area is now nice and cleaned up. And yes, I still want to use my storage trucks here, but that is going to be something we'll figure out a little bit later. I do want to create like a loading station. I really liked Beardstone's idea where he ended up setting up a way that you can do a request that will pull the items, and essentially it would allow us to take items directly out of here, be pulled from our mass network, and automatically stored inside of one of our trucks. I mean, that's something we might end up doing in the future. No idea. As of right now, though, oh man, I'm just so satisfied, like loading and unloading. I want more things to store in my storage area. This is, oh man, this is going to actually start a problem, I think. Oh, I gotta get a new drill up and running. You can't tell me that's not satisfying. Oh my goodness. To clean things up even further, I've got all of those minecart contraptions just essentially stored inside of a barrel here to kind of get them out of the way, because I do actually want to customize the road here, and I want to add in some deep slate, or not deep slate, I want to add in some tuff through here as some like a mixed in road, because I want this to be like a pathway where we can walk through a pathway over here through the whole like storage yard. It's going to be pretty nice. It is going to take me a bit more time though. Not something I can get all done in just one episode. This is a lot of work to do here. I still got more vaults to put in, and I don't know if enough is built back up, but I should go check. And yeah, I did have a significant supply built up already, and I did have to manually convert some barrels over, because I had like a tremendous amount of barrels. I think I'm definitely limited on iron or something. Maybe the process speed of plates inside of them all. It's not meant to be fast, it's just meant to be kind of efficient, just kind of produce as time progresses on. But man, yeah, is this going to be enough to complete this whole thing? I hope. And I think that's going to be a resounding yes. But this being the last vault section that I place in, by the way, leaves me with a little bit of a problem that I mentioned earlier. And that's the problem of, well, what happens with this being the last vault that gets filled? Like what happens after that? Well, yeah, I don't expect it to get filled anytime soon, but if it does, we could, like I said, set up an alarm system that alerts back at the start. So now, as far as that goes, we can just place a threshold switch. I have this set to at or above 1 and then 0 items here, and then power on when it is at 0 items. So making sure that that is on. So it's a constant signal when there's nothing in, and when something goes in, it actually turns off the redstone signal. So I need this because I want to use this to repeat the bell signal and to essentially toggle this bell over and over and over again by using, well, a pulse timer. Yes, so we can do that. Let's see. I want somewhere interesting to put this, but I don't think I can put it like on my center unit here correctly. So you know what? Maybe I don't put it there, but I could just put it like underground here. I think this is going to be more than fine. So we'll set up something like this. And what we need to do is we need to take our pulse timer and we need to have that constantly ringing a bell. Yes, just like that. But we want this shut off. And the way that we're going to shut off this really annoying bell is by using our redstone link and making sure that's put into receive mode. There we go. We put on the hoe and then we grab the bell and then we filter the bell. Okay. And so that gives it a redstone signal, which actually shuts off the pulse timer. So I think that is going to be more than fine. And we can set it to like 10, for example. Yeah, this should work. And just to make sure everything is functioning as it should, we'll go ahead and throw some blocks in there. And if there is a block that ever gets sent into there, we should hear bells going off over here saying, hey, warning, warning, storage is filled. We're going to have to get something together and expand our storage in some capacity, possibly going vertically. I don't think that's ever going to happen on this SMP, but it's there just in case. Now, something else that I want to do is I want to use my threshold switch to shut off this pulse timer. So that way it's not non-stop pulsing this this funnel over and over again. And the only time it's going to start pulsing is whenever an item is detected. A good way to kind of demonstrate that is if I put these blocks in here and then I throw this on, that should empty that shulker box. And then this should start pulsing. Well, only one stack was allowed in, so it only had to pulse once. But if there was multiple stacks, then this would stay lit and continue pulsing. Kind of exactly what I wanted it to see. Yeah, it doesn't stay constantly running. Do you know what? I think I achieved what I really wanted to achieve today. I wanted to make the foundry look a bit more as though it was industrial all around. So this whole industrial facility is now come full circle. We've got all of this like bulk storage over on the back. Oh man, and everything is just coming together. We have the pathway along the outside. All of the storages are functional and fully up and running. I do have to add more of the links to the rest that I just recently added, but outside of that, it's just simple as clicking the link on other links to make sure they're all bound to the same network, and that adds it all together. Now, all I have to do is get some decoration done, and man, this place is going to look pretty good. Adding a bit more of these girders throughout. This is going to be fantastic. But that's going to have to wait for another episode because today, well, I am just all out of time. I've spent like 2.5 days working on this project. It has been quite the journey, just collecting all the resources to put it into action, coming with the ideas for the whole thing. Man, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope I explained it the best I can of how you can create a multi-storage network using vaults, or really anything. If you're ever playing a pack that, for example, has create in it, you can use this for just about anything. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give this video a huge thumbs up, and well, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter that makes episodes like these possible. And that huge thanks, well, that's going to go out to Scrub Daddy. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and just supporting my content in one of the best ways possible. You absolute boss. And well, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this mega storage, massive storage solution. And if you did, I'll see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching. Oh, and by the way, I figured you wanted to know this. There's 57 functionable storage vaults that are in this setup. And well, that equates to close to 13,851 item stacks it can hold. That's quite a lot.